What if I told you there's a machine so extreme, so overbuilt, that it doesn't just drive over the world, it rewrites the meaning of off-road itself? A six-wheeled monster, born from the imagination of engineers who refuse to accept limits. This is the 2026 Toyota Emberhorn 6x6. And what it can do might completely change how you see vehicles forever. At first glance, it doesn't even look real. It feels like something pulled straight out of a futuristic survival movie. But this isn't fiction. This is a machine designed with one goal in mind: to conquer terrain where normal vehicles simply don't belong. And here's the part that makes it even more fascinating. This isn't just a wild concept. It's built with real engineering, real purpose, and real-world capability. But the deeper you go into this beast, the more unbelievable it becomes. Because the Emberhorn isn't just about power, it's about dominance. The moment you see it, you notice the stance. Low, wide, aggressive. 6 massive wheels planted like claws gripping the earth. The front end looks sharp and purposeful, with a grille that feels less like decoration and more like armor. Every line on this vehicle has a reason. Every angle is built to survive. But what most people don't realize at first is that the design isn't just for looks. Those extra wheels? They completely transform how this machine moves. Unlike traditional 4-wheel trucks, the Emberhorn distributes its weight across 6 independent contact points. That means less pressure per tire, more traction, and the ability to keep moving even when conditions turn brutal. Mud that would swallow normal trucks? This thing glides over it. Deep sand that traps even the best off-roaders? The Emberhorn floats across like it's nothing. But that's not even the most shocking part. Each of those wheels isn't just connected, they're intelligently controlled. The Emberhorn uses a next-generation adaptive drivetrain that constantly analyzes terrain in real time. Sensors scan the ground, adjusting torque distribution across all 6 wheels instantly. If one wheel slips, power shifts. If terrain changes, the system reacts before the driver even notices. It's not just driving, it's thinking. And that's where things start to feel almost unreal. Because under the surface, this machine is powered by a hybrid twin-turbo engine system that pushes performance into an entirely new category. The numbers alone are staggering, over 700 horsepower, with torque levels that feel almost endless. But here's what makes it different. It's not just about speed. It's about control. You can crawl over rocks with precision so smooth it feels like the vehicle is walking. Then, seconds later, you can launch across open terrain with explosive force that throws dust into the sky like a storm. And what happens next is something few people expect. Despite all that raw power, the Emberhorn is surprisingly refined. Inside, it doesn't feel like a rugged machine. It feels like a futuristic command center. Clean lines, advanced digital displays, and materials that balance durability with luxury. But the real magic is hidden in the technology. The vehicle features a fully integrated terrain AI system. Not just drive modes, but predictive driving intelligence. It learns how you drive, how the terrain behaves, and adapts its responses over time. That means the more you use it, the smarter it gets. And here's where things get even more interesting. There's a feature built into the Emberhorn that almost no one talks about at first. It can partially drive itself, off-road. Not on highways. Not in cities. But in environments where human reaction time is often too slow. Imagine climbing a steep, rocky incline where one wrong move could flip a normal truck. The Emberhorn analyzes the angle, traction, and wheel positioning, then assists with micro-adjustments in real time. It doesn't replace the driver, it enhances them. And what this creates is something completely new. A vehicle that feels less like a tool, and more like a partner. But the real reason this machine exists is something very few people know. It wasn't originally designed for everyday drivers. The Emberhorn was born from extreme environment testing programs. Harsh deserts, frozen landscapes, disaster zones where traditional vehicles fail. Engineers needed something that could survive anywhere, and keep going no matter what. And once they achieved that, they realized something. If a vehicle can handle the worst conditions on Earth, imagine what it can do everywhere else. But just when you think it couldn't get more impressive, there's another layer. The suspension system. Each wheel is connected to an independent adaptive suspension arm with massive travel range. We are talking about the ability to absorb terrain that would completely destroy a standard truck. Rocks the size of small boulders, uneven ground that shifts under pressure, sudden drops that would normally send shockwaves through the chassis. The Emberhorn doesn't just survive it. It smooths it out. Passengers feel less impact. The vehicle remains stable. Control is maintained at all times. And what happened during early testing surprised even the engineers. In extreme conditions where other vehicles lost control or became stuck, the Emberhorn didn't just continue, it performed better. The harsher the environment became, the more this machine seemed to thrive. Almost like it was built for chaos. But let's talk about something most people overlook. The sound. When the Emberhorn moves, it doesn't just roar. It has a deep, controlled presence. A combination of mechanical strength and electric precision. It feels powerful, but not wild. Aggressive, but not unpredictable. It's the sound of controlled dominance. And that balance is what makes it so unique. Because while other off-road machines focus on raw power or ruggedness, the Emberhorn blends power, intelligence, and stability into one unified system. But here's where things take another turn. Compared to older off-road legends, this machine doesn't just compete, it redefines the category. Traditional trucks rely heavily on driver skill, mechanical strength, trial and error. The Emberhorn. It reduces mistakes, enhances decisions, and expands what's possible. It allows drivers to attempt routes they would never even consider before. And that changes everything. Because suddenly, exploration becomes less about limitation and more about discovery. But there's one feature that truly pushes this machine into a completely different league. The multi-terrain transformation system. At the push of a button, the vehicle can adjust ride height, suspension stiffness, and drivetrain behavior simultaneously. Low and stable for high-speed desert runs. High and flexible for rocky climbs. Balanced and controlled for unpredictable terrain. And all of it happens in seconds.
No complicate de adjustments. No delays.
Just instant transformation. And what makes this even more incredible? It works seamlessly. There's no learning curve.
No complexity.
The vehicle does the hard work, so the driver can focus on the experience. But here's a surprising fact most people don't expect. Despite its size and capability, the Emberhorn is designed with efficiency in mind. The hybrid system reduces fuel consumption during long journeys. Energy recovery systems capture power during braking and downhill movement. It's not just powerful. It's smart about how it uses that power. And that's something rarely seen in extreme off-road machines. But the deeper you go into this story, the more one thing becomes clear. The Emberhorn isn't just a vehicle. It's a statement. A declaration that limits are meant to be challenged. And just when you think you've seen everything, there's one final detail that changes the entire perspective. The durability. Every component of this machine is built to endure extreme stress. Reinforced chassis. High-strength materials. Protective underbody systems. It's designed not just to perform, but to survive. Years of harsh conditions. Punishing environments. Relentless use. And still keep going. And that's where the real impact of this machine begins to reveal itself. Because vehicles like this don't just exist for thrill or adventure. They redefine what's possible in transportation, exploration, and even rescue operations. Imagine reaching places that were once completely inaccessible. Delivering aid where roads don't exist. Exploring landscapes that were previously off-limits. The Emberhorn opens doors that were never opened before. And what that means for the future is something we are only beginning to understand. But here's the most insane part of all. Even with everything it offers, this might just be the beginning. Because technology like this doesn't stay limited. It evolves. It spreads. And it changes the industry. What starts as an extreme machine often becomes the foundation for future innovation. And that's what makes the Emberhorn so important. Not just for what it is, but for what it represents. A glimpse into a future where vehicles are no longer restricted by terrain. Where machines adapt, learn, and push beyond human limitations. And where the impossible becomes normal. So the next time you see a road, or even the absence of one, just remember, there's a machine out there that doesn't care. Because for the 2026 Toyota Emberhorn 6X6, there are no obstacles, only opportunities. What if I told you there's a truck that looks like it drove straight out of a sci-fi movie? A machine so extreme, so overbuilt, that it can survive places where roads don't even exist, and yet, it started life as something completely ordinary. This is the insane 2026 Toyota Tacoma Takazilla Expedition Camper, and once you see what it can really do, you'll understand why people are calling it the ultimate overland beast. At first glance, it doesn't even look real. The body rises high above the ground like a moving fortress. Massive tires grip the earth like claws. And mounted on top is what looks like a compact home, perfectly fused into the truck itself. But this isn't just a camper slapped onto a pickup. This is something far more ambitious. Something designed to go beyond roads, beyond cities, and even beyond comfort zones. And the deeper you go into its story, the more unbelievable it becomes. Because the Takazilla isn't just about travel. It's about survival. And the real reason it was built might surprise you. It all starts with the Toyota Tacoma, a truck already known around the world for toughness, reliability, and its ability to handle harsh terrain. But someone asked a bold question. What if this already capable truck could become something unstoppable? Not just a vehicle, but a fully self-contained expedition machine. A truck that could cross deserts, climb mountains, and live off the grid for days, even weeks, without needing civilization. That idea gave birth to Takazilla. And from the moment it was revealed, it didn't just turn heads. It shocked the entire overlanding world. Because this wasn't a concept designed only for looks. It was built with real purpose. The design alone tells a story. The body is wide, tall, and muscular, almost like a futuristic armored vehicle. The camper shell is seamlessly integrated into the truck, creating a single, unified structure that feels incredibly solid. Unlike traditional campers that sit awkwardly on the bed, this one feels like it belongs there, like it was always meant to exist. And the retro-inspired styling adds something unexpected. It quietly pays tribute to classic expedition vehicles from decades ago, but blends it with modern engineering that pushes it far into the future. But here's where things start getting interesting. Because what you see on the outside is only half the story. Step inside, and everything changes. Instead of a cramped, uncomfortable space, you find something surprisingly refined. Warm lighting, smart storage, a layout that feels almost like a tiny apartment on wheels. There's a sleeping area that actually looks comfortable, not like an afterthought. There's a compact kitchen setup that allows you to cook real meals, even in the middle of nowhere. And there's clever use of space everywhere you look, hidden compartments, foldable elements, and modular designs that adapt to different needs. But that's not even the most shocking part. Because the real magic of Takazilla lies beneath the surface. Under the hood, this machine is built to handle punishment. The upgraded suspension system allows it to glide over rough terrain that would stop most vehicles instantly. Rocks, sand, mud, it doesn't matter. The Takazilla doesn't just survive these conditions. It thrives in them. And the oversized all-terrain tires provide incredible grip, allowing it to climb steep slopes and navigate uneven landscapes with confidence. But here's something most people don't realize. It's not just about power. It's about balance. Because building something this large and capable comes with serious challenges. Weight distribution, stability, and durability all have to work perfectly together. And somehow, they do. Toyota's engineering ensures that even with the added camper structure, the vehicle remains stable and controllable, even in extreme conditions. But wait, because what comes next takes things even further. The Takazilla is designed for complete independence. That means it doesn't rely on external power sources the way traditional campers do. Solar panels integrated into the design help generate electricity. Battery systems store that energy for later use. And efficient systems ensure that power is used wisely, even during extended trips. So imagine this. You're miles away from the nearest road. No signal. No buildings. No people. And yet, inside your Takazilla, everything still works. Lights. Cooking. Charging your devices. It's like carrying a piece of civilization with you, without being tied to it. But the deeper purpose behind this machine goes beyond convenience. And this is where things get really fascinating. Because Takazilla reflects a growing shift in how people think about travel. More and more, people are moving away from crowded cities and predictable vacations. They want freedom. They want exploration. They want to go where maps don't even matter anymore. And Takazilla is built for exactly that. But here's the twist. It's not just about escaping the world. It's about redefining how we interact with it. Instead of being limited by infrastructure, you create your own path. Instead of relying on hotels, you bring your home with you. And instead of rushing from one destination to another, you live the journey itself. But the story doesn't stop there. Because when Takazilla was first revealed, many people thought it was just a showpiece. A concept designed to generate hype. Something that looked amazing, but wasn't practical. And what happened next surprised everyone. Because the reaction was overwhelming. People didn't just admire it. They wanted it. They imagined themselves driving it across continents, through deserts, forests, mountains. And suddenly, what seemed like a wild idea started to feel possible. But here's something even more surprising. The Takazilla draws inspiration from a much older vehicle, the legendary expedition campers from the 1970s and 80s. Back then, adventurers built custom rigs to explore remote areas long before modern technology made it easier. Those vehicles were raw, mechanical, and often unpredictable. But they had something powerful. A spirit of adventure. Takazilla captures that same spirit, but upgrades it with modern precision, reliability, and innovation. It's like taking the past and giving it a futuristic upgrade. And that combination is exactly what makes it so unique. But wait, because the most insane feature hasn't even been revealed yet. Despite its size and complexity, the Takazilla still maintains the core DNA of the Tacoma. That means it's not just capable off-road. It's also dependable, reliable, built to last. And that's something incredibly rare in vehicles this extreme. Because usually, when machines become this specialized, they sacrifice everyday usability. But Takazilla tries to do both. And somehow, it works. But the real reason this machine exists is something very few people know. It's not just about adventure. It's about possibility. It shows what happens when engineers stop thinking about limits and start thinking about what's actually achievable. It pushes boundaries. It challenges expectations. And it forces us to rethink what a vehicle can be. Is it just transportation? Or can it be something more? A tool for exploration. A home. A symbol of freedom. As the story builds, one thing becomes clear. The Takazilla isn't just a truck. It's a statement. And now, imagine taking it into the real world. Picture endless deserts stretching to the horizon. Towering mountains blocking the sky. Dense forests where sunlight barely touches the ground. Most vehicles would turn back. But not this one. The Takazilla moves forward. Slowly. Powerfully. Confidently. Every bump, every obstacle, just another part of the journey. And inside, you're not just surviving. You're living. Cooking a meal under the stars. Sleeping in comfort while the world outside remains wild and untamed. Waking up in places most people will never see. But here's the part that truly defines it. Freedom.
No schedules. No restrictions. No limits.
Just you. And the road that doesn't exist. And as we reach the final part of this story, one question remains. Is this the future of travel? Because vehicles like Takazilla are changing the way people think. They blur the line between car, home, and exploration tool. They offer something that modern life often takes away. Control over your own journey. And maybe that's why it feels so powerful. Because deep down, everyone wants to explore, to escape, to discover something new. And the Takazilla doesn't just make that possible. It makes it real. So the next time you see a normal pickup truck, remember this. Somewhere out there, a machine exists that took that simple idea and transformed it into something extraordinary. Something bold. Something unstoppable. The insane 2026 Toyota Tacoma Takazilla Expedition Camper isn't just built to go off-road. It's built to go beyond everything you thought was possible. And once you've seen it, there's no going back.